Hey guys! Welcome back to another keyboard-related video. Today, we'll be looking at Akko's new ACR Pro Alice Plus keyboard. This particular unit is a review unit sent by Akko for an early review. But as always, that will not affect my opinions or thoughts on the keyboard, just like my other videos. Let's get into the unboxing. Printed on the box, you can see the full name of the board. It's denoted with a Pro in its ACR name. That indicates that it's a revised version of the original ACR boards. We also see the cutout design of the board itself, along with the keyboard legends on the other side. Opening the box up, we are greeted by the inclusion of an extra polycarbonate plate from Akko. Under that is the Alice Plus already fully built. I believe the first Alice Plus boards will be sold in a kit, with white on black AAC keycaps and Akko clear switches. Eventually, they'll be also selling a bare bones version soon. The Type-C cable, manual, Allen key, switch puller, adjustable keyboard feet, and the full set of bow keycaps are also in the box for us to use with the board. The Akko Alice Plus keyboard is Akko's first take on an ergonomic keyboard. For contrast, the normal keyboards we see in the market are commonly staggered in layout with aligned rows. This staggered nature is a standard for typing since the typewriter, but in 2018, with a steady growth and innovation in the keyboard space, Yuk Chi, a well-known keyboard designer, released an IC for the original TGR Alice, and as per my research, it is the first keyboard to support this type of layout. The Alice layout features a split layout evident by the space in the middle, as well as the split spacebars on the bottom. Like normal keyboards, they are also staggered, but they are not aligned in a row, rather extending outwards in an inverse U position. The reason behind this layout is to avoid RSI or wrist pains from typing, as our hands and finger length are naturally inclined to type in this curvish layout. Whether that be true or not, we'll see, but for now let's look at the keyboard itself. This gasket-mounted board sports a two-piece CNC acrylic design that lets the perky and underglow RGB shine through. The top frame is much more frosted than the bottom, but both diffuse light quite evenly. A noticeable difference is that it's quite smooth to the touch, unlike their previous ACR counterparts having sharp edges. On the rear, we could see the right-mounted USB Type-C port, a first for me since all my boards are either middle or left aligned, while the sides and rear are clean of any design. The back is simple with only the Akko ACR Pro label flanking on the bottom right, as well as the rubber feet. Looking at it on the front, we could see the supposedly Alice Plus layout having the split and curved design. You surely need to get used to this layout to be able to type comfortably. The front height is about 21mm tall, so you may want to buy a wrist rest for this as it's a low-angled board, but thankfully, the included feet can elevate it slightly. As for the layout, it basically has the same keys as a 65% keyboard. This means that this has arrow keys and a navigation column on the right side. This, however, isn't compact, having the form factor of a TKL because of its thick bezels. Also note that the Windows key is placed in the middle of the split spacebar, and though this is an awkward position, I got used to it quickly. The keycaps that came with the board are slightly modified AAC bow keycaps, which are 1.6mm thick. The retail version of these keycaps have Japanese sub-legends on the alpas, while this one doesn't. The switches are these nuclear switches from Akko. They bottom out at 50 grams and have an actuation force of 43 grams. The switches are all transparent, and we'll be hearing them later. Moving on to the PCB, it's sadly still north-facing and does not support VIA. Akko opted for their own software, and I wish they didn't. Don't get me wrong, you could still change the lighting modes and remap the keys on the fly, but I wish it was more universal. Otherwise, the PCB's 3 to 5 pin hot swap has perky RGB and underglow as well, and when I took it apart, it looks to have switch pads embedded on each key already, removing the need for the PE-POM mod. The case is shut tight with hex screws. Luckily this time, there is an included Allen key in the box. Opening it up reveals the plate and PCB being sandwiched with plate foam and case foam. There is also a daughter board inside the Alice Plus to be able to make the main PCB bounce without any interference. Speaking of the bounce, here's the flex test with the stock config on the alu plate and all foams attached. As we could see, it only amounts to a little bit of flex to the board. But remember that we still have the case foam in here, so let's remove it from the board. We could also change out the plate to a softer material, like the polycarbonate included. And as we can see, with the case foam removed and the plate changed to polycarbonate, the board flexes and bounces like a breeze. Hopefully in the next versions, it will support BIA as well as a south-facing PCB. But moving on, the stubs included are plate mounts and are pre-lubed and clipped out of the box. What's cool about this is that the PCB also supports screw-ins and clip-ins as well, provided you buy them yourself. As I've said earlier, the plates are made out of aluminum and polycarbonate, and have gasket cutouts for mounting, while the gaskets looks to be made out of silicone. The gasket implementation looks to be similar to the gasket socks found in a QK65. They are easily removable, and Akko does have extra gaskets in the box in case you lose it. For now, let's hear it stock with the included keycaps and switches for both aluminum and polycarbonate. As you can hear, the board sounds great stock, though in my opinion, with the polycarb plate, it's kind of muted. Like and subscribe to see me mod this even further. I'll also release a full sound test video with other switches on this as well, and as for the pricing, I'll update that in the comment section below. In the meantime, I'll try to get used to this layout and see if it really helps me type comfortably. I only had this keyboard for less than a week and I can't form any conclusions out of that. Definitely tune in to see more of this keyboard as well as other keyboards as well on the channel. Now I want to ask you, do you have any suggestions for what switches I'll try? Let me know them down below. If you have any questions as well, feel free to voice out. But that's it for now. I'm John J. Bemaba, and I'll see you in the next video.